Call the meeting to order. The Village of Sayward respectfully acknowledges that we are on the land gathered on is the unceded traditional territory of the Comox First Nation, the traditional keepers of our land. Introduction of late items, CEO.
No late items, thank you.
Wow. Approval of agenda. Is everybody good with the agenda?
Yep.
Yes,
Yes, sorry.
that's okay. Minutes of previous meeting. Recommended resolution that the minutes of the regular council meeting that was held on April 19th, 2022 be adopted. Do I have a motion, please? Second. Discussion. Opposed? All in favor? Carried. And that the minutes from the special council meeting held on the 26th of April, 2022 be adopted. Motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second.
I'll second it.
Discussion. Opposed? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Petition and delegations. Here we go. Do you share the same last name? No? Okay, so we're just going to say Serena Gill and Sean. You'll just watch? Okay, Serena Gill from 711 Kelsey Way regarding development proposal. Please come on up to the microphone.
Hello, I'm Serena Gill, 711 Kelsey Way. I just came to share our business plan and make sure that you guys are clear on what we're doing and make sure we're clear on what you would like. So I have a little bit of a summary. I know you already have all of our business plans. This is just sort of my guideline.
Sorry, I may just interrupt for a moment. Can we turn on the speaker, please? Yes. Some people, the mic, yeah, some people can't hear.
If that we can hear.
Yeah, but does it go through a speaker at all? Okay. Oh, okay, no problem. Thank you. Yeah.
Just give it a test.
Testing,
Sorry, keep testing.
testing 2, testing 3, testing 4. This smells very new. I should have a mask on.
Technical difficulties.
Sorry, might I inquire? Pardon me, Serena, if you speak up a little, we have a small room. Is everybody okay?
Yeah.
with that?
If you yell at us, no, it's okay. The microphone is primarily for recording onto the tape. Evidence.
Oh, so the public can watch it later.
That's correct.
Give you a YouTube star.
It's gonna be on the big screen at the cable house.
There you go.
That's why I'm behind the camera. Shall we?
Mhm.
Well, our main initiative is to convert the mobile home park into a space for tiny homes. And it'll be similar but different. Really just want to update and still offer affordable income or affordable housing and just update the facilities and image and function. So, of course, tiny homes is a new initiative for the way of the future. And there may be some red tape and fine tuning. But that's why we were just going to bring forth the idea and see if it would work. And if not, we'll go back to the drawing board. But we just want to make sure we're suiting the needs of the community and also trying to get return on investment at the same time. So something economical and a way to give back. So as you can see, Jason's got the original business plan there. We sort of morphed from permanent dwellings to tiny homes and I mean, it's not set in stone, but that's where we see it going right now. So we thought we'd open that for discussion.
Okay, if you don't mind, if I could start, you're going to start off with, from what I understood, 3 until September 2023, because you're still going to have 2 mobile homes
Right.
that are going to be located there until late September 2023. And they,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
They're officially still permanent residents. We haven't done anything to affect them as of yet, because we wanted to make sure it was in line with what the community was going along with. And, I mean, we want to be fair to everybody too, so it's a matter of all the ducks coming together in a row, but, starting out with 3 small ones in the front is just utilizing the space that's coming available right away. And, we'll be building, if it's tiny homes that we're going ahead with, we're going to be building. I say we, but I mean Sean. And, we can only do one at a time. It is the space that we have. It'll be off-site. And then just come on site completed. And, so it's one at a time, and it's, as we can get the ball rolling, and it won't take a long time. So that's what we anticipate.
Okay, so you're looking at using it as rental accommodations, short-term rental for either vacation or for work, people working in camps or the logging, so on and so forth. Is that correct?
I just
Okay.
see that there's a big need for that, and,
Mhm.
so we hope to try and accommodate that.
And your first 2 would be on site, or your first 3 would be on site by the fall?
Before the end of summer.
Before, you're not allowed to interject when you're sitting back there. Okay, she'll throw something at you.
So yeah, the first one will be done in a matter of months, and then pull its site, and then we'll start on the next one. So, it depends on the, the permits and zoning and the forefront, and then snowball effect.
So I guess my question is there obviously has to be some type of reorganization there
Right. So.
for that to
Okay, so.
make it desirable to rent. Sure,
Update on the,
sure.
okay, so,
Just a reminder, you,
for time,
as you're discussing that this is videotape public consumption.
so we have, 2 tenants that have left.
Right, so don't share what you don't need to share.
Right, 2 tenants have left,
Publicly.
and those trailers are getting removed, in different avenues, within the next month.
Okay,
So that's official and legally binding, and that's on paper, and that's up.
and you'll be doing landscaping and all that nice stuff.
Give us room to, yes, clean the ground and, get rid of all the debris and things that we've been looking at for too long, and then there'll be space to build. And we thought that just the visual appeal would seem better if the new sites were facing towards Chelsea Way. So that was.
Yeah, no, I think it's, I mean, me personally, not speaking on behalf of council, but me personally think it's a good idea. So council, questions? Councillor Kushner.
No questions. I was just going to congratulate you on the beautification that will take place as you remove that stuff. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Kushner, could you turn off your microphone, please? Thank you. Councillor Paulson.
Hi, Serena. Thanks for your presentation. I just had, when I was looking through at the drawings and the plans, I was noticing that there is an absence of parking places. And as you probably know, parking places along the street really clog up our street. So is there any plan in your development to have on-site parking for these buildings?
So the idea, or we don't have a drawing of that yet, because we're waiting for the driveway approvals and that, but we do have an approval for a second driveway, so that'll be on Sayward Road. And we were planning on the parking in behind the unit, so that's where we'd like to utilize the space closer to the streets, wherever that lands is to be
Okay.
determined. But then the driveway, the existing driveway, you come in and then you can park in behind the units to the left.
Because you've already got permission from highways,
And yes,
correct?
yes, we already
Access,
have approval, and we just got a 60-day extension because it's a little wrecked at the moment. So that'll be, so it'll be tangible, their drive-through, if you could. So all the driveways will almost line up straight to each other, so you can go straight through. And then the parking space will be in between, well, just behind the new units. And well, it's required to have at least one space, if not two. And we imagine, I mean, I don't know that there'll be a lot of, we don't know yet what the landscaping will look like, but of course we want to accommodate as much as we can. There might even be space for visitor parking within the property, near that back exit. But
And would you have plans to convert it to permanent residences, depending on how busy it is with the short term and camp, or, you know, men coming or women coming back and forth to?
Well, I think our bottom line is just flexibility and to work with, I mean, in any business, you have to be adjustable with the
Mhm.
times. And for longevity purposes, we would like to stay flexible. And really the short term is just to accommodate the need that is out there at the moment, but there's also, of course, a big need of permanent affordable housing.
Mhm.
So I mean, let's see how many spaces we can fit in there. I don't know yet, right? But we're just
Yeah.
going with what's there now and we can adjust it as we need.
Okay,
But we'd like to accommodate both.
good. Thanks very much.
Councillor Tinsley.
Thanks. Thanks for the presentation. Just back to the parking space. So will it end up that there'd be at least one parking space per unit? Is that right? Do I understand? Yeah, at least. Okay, great.
Unlikely to.
Yeah, okay, great, super. Um,
That as a
Yeah.
concern, but I see where you're coming from.
yeah, sure. And there's different designs here. Have you already, given that you're pretty much ready to start building one off-site, have you already picked a design out of these different pictures that are here?
We've actually changed from those dwelling units
Yeah.
to the tiny homes. So the pictures that you're looking at are, I think the ones that you're looking at. Oh, no, sorry, you have the tiny homes too.
Yeah. Is there one on here that's the exact model you're gonna use?
No,
No.
they're just inspirational. Really.
Okay.
More likely to be like the cedar look there. I mean, I think.
Yeah.
It goes down to what materials are available and.
Okay.
it's Kind of a tough one right now, but
Right,
I
okay.
think cedar's widely available and.
Yeah, we just don't want to see it become, it's like when you go into a burger place, you see the nice picture of the burger,
Yeah,
and then the burger comes and it's this flat, distorted,
right.
not quite looks like the picture thing.
That's fade is marketing.
She's not back on food.
Yeah.
Inspiration, we're going for.
Right, okay. And yeah, we see that at some point in time, right? Yeah, which one you've
Well,
chosen?
and also that brings me to the point of longevity.
Yes,
We're looking for low maintenance, so if
Yeah.
we find something that, doesn't need to be repainted or what have you.
Yes.
Not one siding, but like party plank or something.
Yeah.
So we want low maintenance, we want good ROI, we want longevity.
Yeah.
And sustainability, so we'll have to figure out what materials are there, but we definitely want low maintenance.
right. And then the other just question was around short-term rentals. As you're aware, your business people, there's a lot of management required, right? You know, people coming in and out, cleaning and things like that. Are you anticipating having a full-time manager on site, or how would that work?
Somebody local.
We would, well, because we live out of town and Sean's only here half the time, we
Yeah.
would need to locate someone local to help with the cleaning and,
Yeah,
I mean, we could probably manage any of the maintenance that comes up, and of course, we'd be here regularly, but
Yeah.
not, drop of a hat. There's
Yeah.
vary between that, unfortunately.
no, sure, yeah. So you
Yeah.
probably hire someone local to come in and change the bedding when, if someone there for 2 weeks and they gotta,
And it depends on the contract that we, if it's paramedic, they're not Monday, Friday, but,
Yeah.
depends on what shifts they're coming.
Yeah.
So it'd be someone local part-time.
yeah, it makes sense. Super, thank you. Yeah.
CAO, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mayor. And through Mayor, yes, just one question. It looks like there is flexibility. Obviously, you're leaning towards the tiny home, so something that you put on existing pad. But there is flexibility to go foundation if that is if that is sort of an SRD suggestion, is there?
That would change the scope of the project.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So that'll require just a little bit of investigation from an SRD perspective. So
Okay.
we'll
And
touch
that's-
base further
yeah,
on that.
that's for future discussions, so.
Yeah.
That's what we had in mind for the dwellings.
Sure,
But-
yeah.
And I'm doing the construction, I don't know the building codes,
Yeah.
you know, specifically, but, yeah, that's to be discussed.
Okay.
Whichever project you go, you know, get approval for.
Mm.
But well, perfect.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, council is, definitely willing to work with you. So that's not an issue. Okay.
Work with you.
Well, that's good. So do you have anything else to add or are you good? You should, please.
Okay, so thanks everyone for listening. I just want to touch on the foundation basis. So we were originally thinking screw piles. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of screw piles.
Mhm.
It's really rocky. So my initial date, I brought it to the engineer and we were concerned. So we were like, well, if we're gonna do a foundation, it's gonna be an umbrella. Basically. I need to put that on a cost and it would have to be structured. Just have to put it on.
Understood.
Covers everything. And really, we just want to update what's there and be fair to everybody that lives on site and work with them or around them or move them into one unit if that's what they want. So, I mean,
Okay.
but keep an open mind, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming tonight, both of you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks. We'll see you soon. Okay, so next up for the delegation, we have Sean, who's the new owner of the cable house. Come on up, Sean.
Well, thank you, council, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for inviting me, and thank you especially to Jason for reaching out and asking me to do it. This is a bit of an update and a bit of a request, but it's more of a discussion. So again, my name is Sean, and I've just purchased the cable house at 1465. I guess everybody understands the address on Sayward Road, but I've got a keen interest in supporting Sayward Futures Society, and I've got some background, hopefully that will be helpful in attracting grants, training, commercial development, and tourism to the region. So currently working on a bit of a plan for that. Next slide. Sure.
Connectivities, but we can hear.
Get out.
I just got the joke. You're looking at the wrong Sean. Next slide. So the short story of what I'm here to discuss tonight is working on a regional approach for tourism and mainly economic development. Tourism is a big aspect of that economic development, but I'm hoping that as a new resident here in Sayward, that we can look at a broader scope and of economic development that includes a pillar of tourism. And I'm hoping that we can, at some point, embrace the change that's required to not see so much, and this is just coming from my own personal opinion, not see quite so much village versus valley mentality. And the stories and that are relayed to me as a new resident, I just know that it's divisive and it works against itself. Next slide. And I think that if we can find a different way to look at things, at least some of the economic development projects that I've worked on previously, we can go to the next slide. Then, and we can apply some of those things here in Sayward. I moved here because of the people. I moved here because of the valley itself, the geography. But I moved here because it was warm, it was friendly, and it was so welcoming. When I walked down to the wharf on the very first day I arrived, I looked at what does Sayward have, and these core values. If we identify the core values of the village and the valley and the residents, and look at it in a different way, that if we work together. Next slide. Try to say next slide 5 seconds in advance. That there's a real opportunity with commercial activity as a primary 3-year, and I want to emphasize that I think there's possibility to attract some good, sustainable, regenerative commercial activity in a 3-year window. And I think there's really good opportunity, and I'm speaking from a tourism background, that I've just finished a 2-year contract with Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association, where we started a brand new training facility, and I was challenged with attracting $500,000 in new tourism skills training programs as I work with the University of Victoria. And so what I do is I write grants and I bring funding and projects to communities, and I do it in a way that is a win-win, win-win. So I look at the tourism activity as a great 2nd-year project, but tourism still has a fundamental problem. It's seasonal. So you have these highs and lows of tourism. So we need this commercial activity, but commercial activity, we need infrastructure. How do we start now, this year, our first year, with training activity? And to me, that's an industry. If we can create training as an industry, we can drive a lot of infrastructure projects. We can drive skills training. We can drive, in my mind, a lot of tourism projects that I think we need in the valley and in the region, I should say. So next slide. When I was charged with attracting $500,000 in revenue, I was able to attract $2 million in my first year and $6 million in my 2nd year with TOTA. And I work as well. I just finished 2 years with Indigenous Tourism British Columbia. And now I work entirely with University of Victoria. And I do the same thing, economic development with Indigenous communities for University of Victoria. And I just so happen to live in Sayward and volunteer with Sayward Future Society as a member. But if we look at it in year 1 of creating a foundation of training, destination, grant writing, and capacity building, then we look at our year 2 activities as infrastructure and tourism. And this means trail development. This means accommodations. Nobody's going to come and stay and spend money in our beautiful little region if we don't have somewhere to stay. And I see this all day long. People stop, 20 people a day stop at the Cable Cafe still, and I pour coffee, free coffee for folks to hear their story. And the story I get every time is on the way back from the wharf. They say there's no place to stay and there's nothing to do. Well, there is, but we need a visitor center to be the traffic cop. And so the best place for that visitor center, we feel at Sayward Future Society, is maybe the Cable House, because it's such a landmark and we have the natural traffic flow there. But with this graphic, I just want to impress on you that year 1 would be, let's get some money in the front door. And I've been doing that for 20 years. So I think it can be done. Year 2, let's really focus on infrastructure and tourism, meaning more accommodations and more activities, and more signage and more direction of where that tourism is and how do we get more training for residents to build up their training or tourism capacity. And then finally, that sustainable value-added commercial activity in year 3. Next slide. If we look at it like that in a graphic, in a graphical way, and then say, okay, first year is really roll up our sleeves and I'm going to be offering free grant writing workshops. And that's what I do is I teach at UVic. And with grant writing workshops, we're going to focus on year one with training activity. And that's on the right side. And in this case, it's hard to read that because the text is pretty small, but it's all about small business training and Airbnb training. More people, we'd have more accommodations if we have more training. And I know this to be true because I've been doing it for 20 years. I've got agritourism listed there and aquaculture. And there's the University of Connecticut has a wait list of 6,000 people for 200 spots on aquaculture training, meaning shellfish and kelp farming. We've got opportunities like that, but it's not going to be easy and it's not going to be quick. So that's, we start now with training and then we add that to the commercial activity list on the left-hand side of this graphic. So year one would be a lot of training activity. Year two, infrastructure and tourism activity, and that includes visitor center, trails and tours, accommodations, and arts and culture. We're starting up a music night again at the Cable House. And we're going to be looking at all kinds of programs to help people start small businesses, because I believe the fabric economy is woven by the little business, the small micro business. And then when we lose one business or somebody moves away or through attrition, we don't lose everything. And I've seen too many towns that I've been paid to work in that lose a mill or lose a mine, and that town is in jeopardy. So I believe it's the small business that makes the difference. And then finally, that commercial activity, keep focusing, starting now, but keep focusing over the next 3 years on things like the aquaculture, the agriculture, supporting our farmers, helping them get shelf-stable, market-ready products. And that's why we're not going to open a restaurant at the Cable Cafe. We've leased the Cable Cafe to Sayward Future Society to operate a food hub out of, and a visitor center hopefully will be situated on the property as well. So we leased that for $1, more of a donation, but we try and structure it with a lot of workshops, a lot of entertainment value, a lot of things like a food hub. The cost of groceries increased 30%. If we're not aware of our hyperinflation, we're just not paying attention. And I think a lot of seniors and limited income folks in the Valley are really going to be hurting soon, and if they're not already hurting. And I think that there's an opportunity with Food Hub through Sayward Future Society. We are very delighted to have our charitable status number that we just got our charitable status number the other day, and we'll be distributing food to the seniors and limited income people right out to the communities and Indigenous communities that I serve through the University of Victoria. So that's kind of the plan. And next slide, please. That's the plan for some of the activity that's going through as a volunteer going through Sayward Future Society. Today was just to give you an update and let you know what we're trying to do with the village. As far as the visitor center, we won't be seeking the designation for the I for Destination BC. There is a lot of requirements around hours and very little money, quite frankly. It's we need to go after grant applications to start things off, but I believe we can get self-funded fairly quickly. So if the village is still interested in having a visitor center here, the letter of support that was mentioned on the agenda is more around grant writing. Can we count on the village's support when we seek larger scale grants for training and commercial activity and economic development, so that when we build these partnerships, these relationships, we know that we have the support of the village when I go ask for a grant of $2 million. And that's what I've done again for the last 20 years. And I'm very proud to say that over the last 20 years of doing this, we've probably had at least $40 million flow through, working with nonprofits, working with universities, and working with village governments. So I'm very pleased and proud of what you're all doing here. And I know it's hard work, but I know we've got a lot of work to do in front of us. But I'm very excited about it. I'm ready to do the work. So, next slide, please. In this partnership opportunity, Sayward Future Society and the village I think we need to come together. I think we need to work together. I think that we need to represent the entire region. And I think we need to think a little more collaboratively. And if we do, that inevitable change that's rolling over us, that causes some of the rural decay that I work on when communities from up north in Whitehorse to I had the good fortune to work in Elk City, Idaho, and all over the world. When we look at these mill closures and mine closures, what do we do now? And again, it's the small business person. Let's support those people. I think our job is to create the platform, the foundation for that economic development to happen. So I'm not sure what it's going to look like, and it's going to be messy. It's going to be hard work. And there's going to be a lot of moving parts. But I think we can do it. So when we extend that hand of friendship from Sayward Futures and Village, I hope that we can move quickly together, because one of the things that I found over and over and over is that when the government says there's money here and it's available, heritage or tourism or arts and council, there's so many things we can apply for right now. I've never seen as much money available as there is right now, but it happens fast. They give us a 5-day window to apply. And that's when I'm up all night cranking it out. Like I'll be tonight. I'm working on a big project tonight. And that means that I come to the village and say, hey, village, can you sign this right away? Give us a letter of support to show the grantor that we're all in this together. And I don't know what it'll look like, but I'm willing to give regular reports and good communication to the village in exchange for that hand of friendship. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question for you, though. You purchased the cable house. You're looking at doing the food hub and leasing it to Sayward Futures and bringing the information center over there as well.
Mhm.
So in terms of your commitment on the property itself, how long do you plan on keeping the property before you would put it up for sale? Or, so I guess my concern is all these programs come to fruition and we're doing all this from that location, and then the property goes up for sale with everything that's already been put in place and the opportunity for it all to go.
I appreciate the question, Mr. Mayor. On a long enough timeline, everything will be for sale. My intention, I can't tell you a crystal ball, but I really like it here. And I've moved here to stay, and I would expect at least 3 years, if not 5. But I do take on projects like this, and I volunteer my time. I do not make my living here. I'm not a speculator. I'm not trying to drive the price of my property up, and I'm not trying to make money with my property. We've got 3 different projects scheduled for the cable house location, and I'm charging $1. It'll take me a long time to pay off that property at $1 a year. So it's there to use for the community. I do free workshops. I do free, I give away free coffee all day long. And whatever happens there, I don't know what's going to happen there, but I can tell you, I like it here. And I don't know how long anybody here is going to be here. And I don't know if I'm going to get home safe tonight because people drive that road pretty fast. So I can't guarantee anything, but I can tell you my intention is 3 to 5 years.
No, good.
Yeah.
That's Elaine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody on council have a question for Sean?
Answered all my questions, most of them.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I just, oh, sorry, thanks. 2 questions, I guess. When you talked about the different areas you've worked in before, have you run into this type of situation of, what we call the Village Valley stuff before? And
Honestly, no.
no, okay.
It's an interesting dilemma, the way the demographic is situated up and down the valley, and the way the I'd have to say psychographic as well, because we've got a different age in the village versus a lot of the newcomers are situated outside. That's not across the board,
No.
but I do see an interesting opportunity, and quite often in the work I've done before, we look at what are the resources of talent, time, and capital. And right now we're having discussions with outside capital, outside investors on everything from, we're just testing the waters and testing ideas on kelp farming. Very interesting. On value-added forestry, on tree planting. I work with a lot of tree planting companies in the past, training Indigenous people to plant trees as part of a tourism project. Because we want We no longer want beaches and peaches. We want, as a tourist, something that's educational, something that's active, something I can show my kids, some sort of legacy that we can leave. And that's the objective, is let's work together to create the infrastructure. And again, I don't have any answers, but I'm a willing volunteer, and I like it here. And I'm just pleased to be invited and have you listen to me. So,
Well,
So
Thank
sorry, my other question, I said I had two.
did
That
you
was
say
the
that?
first
Sorry,
one.
that was a long.
For the second one, obviously you're very entrepreneurial as well as educational focused, things like that, lots of experience. To the other, just use this Village Valley thing, which I hate hearing that even mentioned, but
let's use a
the,
region.
the valley region. Okay, so the region, so the regional part of the valley, right?
Mhm.
How is that connection proceeding?
Well, I'm still learning too, Mr. Tinsley, and I appreciate the question. I'm trying to figure out how many visitors do we have versus how many people outside of the village versus people inside the village, and then get a sense of what those groups want, and then treat it like we're all in this boat together, because we are.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know the solution yet. I don't know the answer, and all I've got is some opinions from some past experience. But I do have access to pretty good teams at all the regional tourism offices. My wife still manages the visitor center for Kelowna for the Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association. So she's feeding me intel on their eye through tourism. And that's why we kind of came to the conclusion that there's too many requirements for the amount of money that's connected to that eye. So we're going to take a step back. We're going to become an affiliate member at DBC. And that's why if we want to work together to get the eye for the village, we'll help. And that's what Sayward Futures is committed to, at least me as a volunteer for Sayward Futures. I can't speak for Sayward Futures, but me as a volunteer, we can work together with the village to look at the eye if that helps the village. It doesn't mean that it's either this or that. I think it means it's this and that. And I think, Mr. Tinsley, we can work away from that separation, that division, because we're in this together.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
I can speak on behalf of council to say a couple things. One is that this council has been very progressive in trying to mend that Valley Village separation. We've been pushing hard to get rid of that, of course, which also means that Director Wally needs to be up to speed, and a part of that discussions being with the SRD. So this is something that we've all have consciously made efforts on, because none of us really enjoy that separation, and regardless on how it started or how it's going to end,
Yeah.
that doesn't matter. That's,
Well,
just
there's
need
a
to
red carpet
move forward.
invitation for anybody on council or anybody in the audience or anybody listening to come out to our free workshops at the Cable Cafe. And again, our next one, I think, is a real focus on grant writing. So we want volunteers to pick a target, and we'll all walk through it together. And let's pick a bunch of different targets that we're all excited about. And let's submit some grants with more zeros on it, because the worst that can happen is we get turned down. But we've got all the infrastructure focus, we've got the tourism focus and the training focus. And again, I think with training, now we're talking capacity. And we can't get anywhere without capacity. We can't get anywhere with good ideas and no bodies to actually do the work. So.
Well, on behalf of council, thank you very much for your presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Did council want to take a short recess to visit with the delegations? Or no, council? Or do you want to continue on, or
I think
are
we.
you all staying or are you leaving? Okay, let's take, it is 1939. So we will go, oh, it's 1940. So we'll be back here at 10 minutes to. So just 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay.